getting ready to go live.
All right. You gonna give me a sign? All right. Welcome to Straightforward Sports. Today I'm joined by, on my right, Jacqueline Kemp. On my left, y'all should remember him if y'all been listening to us before. Ian Holt.
What's going on, man?
So today, we don't have an interview today. Today's just gonna be like a little first take, undisputed. We gonna get a little debate going on in here. Starting off. So recently, the Lakers got blew out by the Nets, and a lot of people consider the Lakers and the Nets to be the finals matchup this upcoming season in the NBA. Do y'all think that this recent blowout by the Nets on the Lakers makes them the favorites to win the championship?
Not too much. Nah, not just because, like, you got LeBron James. That's easily the best player ever. He gonna make his team better, and then you got Anthony Davis coming back too, and probably a couple more missing pieces. You gotta see how things go over the All-Star break and stuff. But no, I don't think you can put the Nets on top of the Lakers just like that.
I mean, you could say that like they're the favorites to make it out of the East, but because the East really doesn't look strong at all, I don't really see the Sixers making to the championship, and that's their only competition really. I done threw Giannis out of there. He ain't doing it no time soon.
Of course.
Until he leave.
Yeah, without a doubt, because we done seen for so long the Bucks being in the conversation, and yet they still don't do anything. They still don't make any noise. Last 2-3 years they'd have been number one in the East. Still haven't been able to make it to the finals yet. We thought last year would be the year. They still didn't make it. They lost to the Heat.
Yeah.
It was the Heat. Went down to 6, and then the year before they lost to the Raptors. So I agree with you. Ruling out the Bucks. Yeah, we can't even think about the Bucks. But honestly, I think, like Stephen A. said, this kind of gives a little compromise to the Lakers. Like, y'all need to wake up. I understand, yeah, the Lakers didn't have Anthony Davis and the Nets didn't have Kevin Durant, but like, if they play again and it goes like this, because the Lakers are not, far as offensively, they don't match up with the Nets.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to get stops. The Lakers are gonna have to get stops against the Nets, and the Lakers are right now the number one defensive efficient team in the NBA. So, just off the strength of knowing that they have a good defensive team, you can get stops all you want to, but they're gonna have to find a way to score. If you ask me.
Do you see the Sixers as a threat to the Nets out of making it out of the East?
Of course, but it's not a huge threat. It's not a huge threat at all. Talking about the Nets and the Sixers, the Sixers right now are just like the Jazz. They make a regular season noise, and when it comes down to the playoffs, we're gonna see them fold as usual.
But the Sixers is always making regular season noise, though. I think the Jazz is slightly different from the Sixers, because the Jazz ain't just dependent on one person. It really look like the Joel Embiid is carrying the Sixers right now.
Of course.
And Jazz, you got Rudy over there playing amazing. You got Jordan Clarkson off the bench dropping 44. I mean, Donovan being Donovan. I think they slightly different from the Sixers.
But see, this is the thing that you got to ask yourself. Are we worried about who's the biggest threat to the Nets, or are we asking ourselves who is the biggest threat to the Lakers repeating? That's what we got to ask ourselves.
That's true.
I say the Clippers then.
Yeah, and see, people, they putting the Jazz up there. Let me just ask y'all first off. You said the Clippers. Who you think?
Because I'm not really too much of a believer in the Clippers. I had to say the Jazz.
The Jazz, and then out of the East, who would you put?
The Nets, just because they backcourt too strong.
You said who?
The Nets.
Oh, the Nets.
Yeah, it's really nobody matching up with the Nets in the East right now. So yeah, you got to go with the Nets making it out of the East.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we being honest, as far as threats, in my opinion, look, the Jazz aren't threats. The Jazz, they have the best record in the league. They're the second best defensive efficient team in the league. They rebound well. They do everything well. They're not a threat. and you're looking at me like, what is he talking about? They got the best record. They, Rudy Gobert averaging 14 and 14, defensive player of the year candidate. You got Donovan Mitchell ripping up the league right now. Like you said, Jordan Clarkson doing his thing off the bench. Probably the best six man in the league. They're not a threat. These are pretenders.
I agree.
Bona fide pretenders.
See, okay, but at the same time, you got to also think playoff. Like, can they do the same thing in the playoffs? And I actually believe they can.
But see, this is okay. We're talking about playoffs, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about playoffs, of course, whoever they match up against first round, yeah, they probably gonna win. This is where I have them falling out. Second round, third round, cut it.
I think it all depends.
It's gonna come down to matchups with anything, but out of all the premier teams in the league, if we're just ranking them, you talking about the Jazz, the Sixers, the Lakers, the Clippers, Portland's in there, the Nets, the Celtics. These teams have good wing players.
Yeah.
The Jazz cannot match up with those teams. As far as star talent on star talent, no, I don't think the Jazz can. If we're talking about the Jazz against the Lakers are running them in and out the arena in 5 to 6 games. Rudy Gobert cannot stop Anthony Davis.
I mean, I don't know, because this season, I don't think Rudy Gobert should have 2 defensive player of the years. But this season, it looked like he's showing why he got 2 defensive player of the years. He's been playing outstanding defensively.
He has.
I think and AD has been playing, one of his worst seasons.
He does that every year, but this is the thing. This is my only knock on Rudy Gobert. I'm not for sure. Somebody fact check me. He has not led the league not one time in defensive rebounds or blocks. And he's won the defensive player 2 times. He's not did that not one time in his career. I'm not for sure if he's leading the league this year. I think he's about 13 rebounds a game, 13 and 13, average it out to about 14. I'm not for sure if he's leading it this year. He might be, but I know he's not leading the blocks.
I want to say he is, and I want to say that's true.
When we're talking about Anthony Davis' skill, bringing people, he can bring the big out to the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And he can take him off the dribble. Rudy Gobert don't want to go out there and guard him.
That's true.
And then you got to think, LeBron can guard Donovan Mitchell. Can Donovan Mitchell guard LeBron?
No.
Will Donovan Mitchell even guard LeBron? No.
That's facts right there.
So you got to think about the fact of, will there be a Joe Ingles on LeBron James? Really?
I think Donovan will guard LeBron before Joe Ingles did.
We're going to see a Bojan Bogdanovic on LeBron James. Or, look, and we all know, and for our loyal subscribers out there, we know how big I was on the Clippers last year. The Clippers won't be a threat either. Well, they will be a threat, but they won't knock off the Lakers.
Yeah.
The Clippers, the Clippers honestly had the best matchups out of everybody. From top to bottom, they had the best matchups out of everybody, but they still won't get it done.
I mean, yeah, because you're talking about playoffs, and it's a whole different thing. I ain't finna say Paul George gonna fall again in the playoffs because that's not guaranteed. But at the same time, we've seen over the years Paul George falling in the playoffs, and if Paul George ain't playing tip-top shape all whatever games, how many games they play, then no, there's no way they're coming out with it at all.
So do you see? Do you think Donovan Mitchell could be a number 1 on the championship team?
No. Donovan Mitchell he's the equivalent to Damian Lillard. Not a number 1. He's gonna rip. He's gonna tear up any team he plays against. He's gonna do what you need him to do. He will be a number 1 scorer and option on a lot of good teams, but he will never be one of those dudes that leads a championship team.
So you saying he'll be like a stat sheet stuffer, but he's just not gonna win the games for you?
Donovan Mitchell is a Robin. He's not a Batman.
I agree.
And Rudy Gobert is neither. So they still need to build their team. Utah's not winning no championship unless they find a way to find somebody in the draft that they can just plug in right there and be that third star.
Yeah.
Because you really got a big 2, and then you got Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. No. Mike Conley, yeah, he's a good point guard, but that's not a championship point guard right there.
I feel like you only see Donovan as a Robin because you haven't seen him with nobody that's better than him yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen him with nobody better than him, but
so you can't really see him. I mean, well, so you really can't say that. You really can't say that he's
compare him against the field, against the rest of the NBA, Donovan Mitchell's not a top 10 player. He's not top 15.
No, that's not true.
Donovan Mitchell's not top 15.
That's not true at all.
So with him not even being in the top 15, it's kind of like they haven't amounted to the same. Well, the Heat didn't amount to the same success that the Jazz are doing right now in the regular season. But it's kind of like that team's kind of built just like how the Heat was last year. Jimmy Butler wasn't top 15 in the league.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, he's not top 15.
Can you name 15 players better than Donovan Mitchell?
Usually.
Off the dome, it'll probably when I get around 10 to 15, it'll slow down. But yeah, I could give you 10 without a doubt.
Now, are you going off this season?
Yes.
Okay. Just give me a quick 10. Just a quick 10.
You gonna count?
All right.
Got Bron.
Okay.
That's number 1.
Okay.
Bron, Giannis, AD, PG,
Luke.
Now, if
Kawhi.
you're going off this season, I don't think AD has been having just a great season this season.
AD's not having an AD season.
I mean, but Donovan's season, since AD is not having an AD season, Donovan's season is better than AD's.
But Donovan's season is better than AD's only because of the fact that he's led his team to the number 1 record in the entire NBA.
And yes, that plays a part. So that's why I would say Donovan is having a better season than AD.
They just don't fire right now. They gonna cool down. They looking just like the Hawks when LeBron when they let the when they got the first seed. What was that? 2014, 2015, so around there.
Paul Millsap.
Like, come on now. Nobody's intimidated of the Jazz. You look at Donovan Mitchell like, come on, dude. Really?
I mean, they did look good in the playoffs last year.
Who? Utah?
Jazz,
Oh,
yes. I mean,
when they blew that lead.
But at the same time, I would say that was just the Jazz being trash. But at the same time, the Clippers did the same thing. So it's like I ain't just gonna knock the Jazz for it. I guess the Nuggets was. I didn't really see too much in the Nuggets that year, but I guess the Nuggets was like that year.
Boy,
that's how they was moving, man.
I can see Utah matching up with Denver in the first round.
Yeah.
And if they get a whiff to Denver in that first round, just based off of what I seen from Jamal Murray, if he's starting to come alive like he did last night, I see the Utah Jazz getting the first seed and getting knocked out in the first round. They're no threat to the Lakers. The biggest threat, they're not in the West, honestly. The biggest threat isn't in the West. The Clippers, yeah, they can beat the Lakers, but they're not going to beat them in a 7-game series. Portland can't match up. Although they added a few pieces this past offseason, Robert Covington, you got Melo, so you got the bodies to match up with them. You still got Nurkic. You bring in Enes Kanter, who played really good the year that they made it to the third round and lost to the Warriors.
You got C.J. McCollum.
Yeah. CJ went down, but CJ's not playing right now. But, there is no true threat in the West. If we're talking about going to 7-game series with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, Dennis Schroeder, like, people just need to calm down. I was a firm believer that the Lakers weren't that good last year, but, dude, calm down. The Lakers are gonna repeat.
Yeah.
Barring any significant injuries. LeBron goes down, yeah, you can just go ahead and say they're not going to win it. But as long as they got LeBron, Anthony Davis, who is injured right now but will be back, you bring in Montrezl Harrell, you bring in Dennis Schroeder. It's a better team than what they had last year. Honestly, besides the Clippers roster, they have the most complete roster in the league. So the threat isn't in the West. The threat is definitely in the East, and it is Brooklyn. But Brooklyn won't beat them in a 7-game series either.
You don't think so?
Brooklyn can outscore them, but can they outscore them 7 games?
Yeah.
Well, can they outscore them 4 games? Really?
I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't know, man. I think it's something that you'll just have to see. Because it's like...
There's going to be some big shots that need to be taken. And the people that want to take those shots may not be the ones taking those shots. And honestly, I don't see it lasting that long in Brooklyn. If I'm the GM in Brooklyn, I'd trade away Kyrie Irving to bring in James Harden and keep all my assets around these players as far as the Karis LeVerts, the Jarrett Allens. That's where Brooklyn messed up at. Brooklyn had a better opportunity if they would have traded away Kyrie Irving. But when you throw in all these role players, because that's what makes a championship team, the role players. You can have stars.
Sure.
Luka, one of the best players in the league. Mavericks are 13th, 12th in the West? Your role players. It's consistency. The nights in, the nights out. Consistent play from your role players. Karis LeVert is one of the best role players in the league. Spencer Dinwiddie showed the year that the Nets made it with the 6th seed and lost to the Philadelphia 76ers that he was one of the better role players in the league also.
The Heat roster.
Yeah.
Fully complete role player.
Role players. That's what you can have stars. But if your role players, if you ain't got them role players to assist your Batman to Robin,
yeah,
you ain't no good, man.
So
no
do you see the Pelicans sliding in the playoffs?
No.
You don't see them catching fire or anything?
The West is too tight for them. This ain't their year. Maybe next year, the year after. But this not the year for them. It's going to take a little bit more time as far as simply just saying the Pelicans, you got to take it to account. Curry is not letting the Warriors go down at all. Kelly Oubre, a couple weeks ago, put up 40 on the Mavericks. You got Kelly Oubre putting up 40. You got Andrew Wiggins, getting a solid 15 to 20 here and there. James Wiseman is coming together. You still got Draymond Green. The Warriors not going nowhere. Portland isn't going nowhere. I feel Dallas is about to come alive. Against premier teams, the Mavericks don't shine, but they are able to get some wins here and there against those premier teams. Denver is going to come alive. And then you still got LA, both LA teams, and Utah. I think that's about 8-9 teams right there.
Yeah.
The Pelicans ain't making no push for no playoffs. They gonna be in the mix, maybe like for the last little seed, but the boys right there, they ain't touching no playoffs.
Yeah, they're not ready yet. They're still missing something. I'm not too sure on what it is, but they're missing something.
I think it's gonna take the progression and the growth of Zion, and they still gotta figure out a little few kinks here and there, because that roster isn't built for a Zion and Brandon Ingram led team.
Yeah.
They need to add more shooters around those guys. You bring in Steven Adams. Steven Adams is a good center, but you got to think about the simple fact you want to add more shooters to open up Zion for those double teams that are going to come, or Brandon Ingram for those double teams that will come, so that they can kick it to those shooters.
So they just don't commit in the paint.
Yeah. Lonzo compromises their offense. Eric Bledsoe compromises their offense. Now, defensively, they're a really good team.
How does Lonzo compromise the offense?
Because of his lack of shooting. Now, these last 2 weeks, he's been shooting about 47% from the three.
I believe he just hit like 6 yesterday.
Yeah, but come on now. We're not fooled. All right? We're not fooled. Lonzo still's not a threat at the three-point line. I would give him a wide open three to win the game, and I'll bet my last dollar that he won't hit it. Every last one of them.
That's disrespectful.
It's not. It's the cold hard truth, and that's what we do. Ain't that right, Ian? This is straightforward sports.
Do you think LaMelo's already better than Lonzo?
Yes, he is, without a doubt.
Dang, that's hard right there.
I think he is.
Triple double monster. I mean, both of them are, but nah.
I think it's just because
LaMelo's better than him.
I think it's because LaMelo has like confidence.
I think LaMelo in a better position than him though.
Nah,
I mean, just to be the star of his team.
Yeah.
He's in the worst position. If you want
I
to
mean, well, not team wise. I mean,
opportunity.
opportunity wise.
To shine, because what does Charlotte have? They're looking for a king right now. They're looking for a savior.
I mean,
they got
Gordon
Terry
Hayward has
Rozier.
been playing.
He's been playing
like
good,
Gordon
but
Hayward lately.
he's not long term.
Due to age,
He's just there to mentor and give a little guidance. That's it.
True. That's true.
You got Terry Rozier, which was probably one of their worst signings as a franchise, which Michael Jordan has been pretty good at signing bad free agents, thinking that he would be a franchise player. No, he is not. Terry Rozier is just there for a little guidance. He would probably get traded to a premier team next season around the trade deadline. Somebody that's trying to make a push for a championship. He's not going to be there that long. But, yeah, LaMelo's in a better situation. He's going to shine. LaMelo is the better ball brother.
I agree, but I think it's just confidence. Like before the draft, I was saying, even if LaMelo go down on a bad stretch of when he just not hitting threes or anything, I know he got that confidence. Like Lonzo, if he see that, he gonna stop shooting.
That's true. You can see that in the stats, though. Like,
yeah.
But enough on the NBA. Let's talk about this offseason that we done got into a little bit, man. Far as the NFL offseason's carousel, far as the quarterbacks. Let's rate these quarterback moves on a scale of 1 to 10. Starting off with the Rams and Lions trade. I want to know, who do y'all think won that trade?
It's not really a think about it. It's like the Lions won it. No, actually, I just now kind of thought about it. Because at first you would think the Lions won it just because the Rams gave up so much just for Matthew Stafford. Well, the Lions won it. The Lions won it only because I think they're going to win it in the long run with all the assets and picks they got. And Matthew Stafford is injury prone. He's a good player, and people feel like he should be in a better situation, which is, I guess you can say, the Rams, but he's injury prone. So I don't trust him. I mean, what, he's 35, 32, something around that age.
Yeah, about 32.
Yeah, I think it's over for him. But at the same time, Jared Goff is Jared Goff, and you gave him less to work with, because I'm almost certain Kenny Golladay is not coming back, nor Marvin Jones Jr.
Franchise tag.
They just franchise tag him?
They plan on franchise
Yeah, I
tag
don't
Kenny
think that's
Golladay.
happening.
I think Marvin Jones is the one out the door.
I don't know. I don't think Kenny Golladay coming back. I just don't see that happening.
So the winner was the Lions.
Yeah, I think the winner was the Lions.
I think it was the Rams, just because if you look at the state of the franchise the Lions in and the state of the franchise the Rams in, the Rams are in the win now mode. They can't just rely on that defense to win them games and rely on a game managing quarterback. So if you get you a better quarterback in the system who can sling the ball more, I think that'll work with Matthew
But is
Stafford.
Matthew Stafford gonna be there to do that?
That's
It's
a great question.
You know, he been injured his whole career. Hey, people like to say that, the Lions ruined this, ruined everybody's career, and the Lions ruined his career. The Lions kind of ruined his career, but at the same time, a lot of injuries, man.
Yeah. Lions do ruin careers. Barry, Calvin.
I don't see him playing 16 games.
I refuse to believe that the Rams are the winner of that trade. Just off the fact that they gave up 2 first-round picks. They already don't have picks at all, if you're being honest, because they already traded for
Jalen.
Yep, and gave up 2 first-rounders that year, too. And talking about the state of the franchise, they're not going to win the championship. That's not a Super Bowl championship team. I can care less if you disagree with me. It's the facts behind it, because Matthew Stafford, like you said, hasn't played a 16-game season in a while. Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback. He's definitely an upgrade over Jared Goff. But that defense is good. It's not going to win the championship. That offense is good. Not going to win the championship. That offense is not better than Tampa Bay. That offense is not better than Green Bay.
Seattle.
Seattle. If we're talking about the first half of the season, then yes,
Yeah.
they're not better than Seattle. But if we're
It's
talking
not
about
really too many teams better
if we're
than
talking about the
Seattle
second
first
half of the season, they're better than Seattle.
It's not better than Arizona's.
Yeah.
Arizona offense on the come up. See, I said that was on the come up this previous season, but I mean they kind of was
They
a little
fell
shaky
apart
towards the end of the
end.
season. Yeah, but this next season I know it's coming. It's coming because they just got to get stuff together. Larry done finally retired, so get them a new receiver in the system and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're gonna be in there.
Like I said, though, just off the fact of the picks, they traded away 2 first-rounders. The Lions acquiring 2 first-rounders, which was really good. For the simple fact, you got your quarterback to build around. It's not the best quarterback to build around, but you got your quarterback to build around. You got DeAndre Swift. You bringing in a new head coach. I do not agree with the head coach's signing. Who signs a tight end coach when you got Eric Bieniemy over here leading the Chiefs in this hot offense to Super Bowls and AFC championships, and you got what's the dude?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, you got Byron Leftwich doing his thing with Tom Brady. I understand, yeah, he does have a Tom Brady, but Jesus, man, can we get some brothers with a job? Because they obviously doing their job in the cities that they're in right now. But like I said, you bring in 2 picks, you got your quarterback to build around. The cap is gonna open up eventually for them to make a run to go get some of these free agents. I see a bright future in Detroit.
So what do you think LA's lacking to make them real title contenders?
I think I
Star
don't
power.
think they have a real. They still don't have a real running back nor real receivers.
I think
agree.
they lack the star power offensively.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, yeah, he's a good receiver.
He's a number 2 though.
Yeah, you
That's
got-
all they have on their in their
Robert
receiver core.
Woods.
It's just full of number 2s.
They
Same thing
have
with
good
running
players,
backs.
but they're not the championship type players. And I feel the only teams that can get away with things like that, having number twos in certain spots and things of that nature is, of course, my boy Belichick. Kansas City. Kansas City can get away with things of that nature because you have the quarterback to compensate for that. Matthew Stafford isn't on the same level as a Mahomes. It's a couple teams out
Green
there.
Bay?
But yeah, Green Bay. It honestly depends. Seattle. We've seen Russell Wilson plug in number twos and people that we really didn't even know about and just came onto the scene and actually did really good with those players. It's a couple teams out there, but LA is not that team. Sean McVay is really good, but I don't think that he's taking that team to a championship over Tampa, over Green Bay. And who's to say that we've seen the Saints win without Drew Brees plenty of times these last couple of years? Who's to say that the Saints are out of the picture?
So who do you think the Saints starting quarterback will be going into the next season?
Whether it's Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, I feel very confident in Sean Payton.
I can't believe in Jameis no more, man. I can't.
I think he'll be the starter.
You know
I think he's gonna be the starter, but I can't believe in Jameis. Like, you got to think about it, man. He had one of the best offenses. That year that he threw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks, he had one of the best off seasons.
But you know what opened up my eyes on that though? Was Bruce Arians? This is his second year coaching them, right?
I
believe it's his second year. And Bruce, just off of what I seen him do to my boy Brady, having him throwing the ball all down the field, and like they said, all the quarterbacks Big Ben threw for his career high in picks, the seasons that Bruce Arians was the OC in Pittsburgh, the years that Bruce Arians was in Indianapolis, Andrew Luck threw for his career high. Carson Palmer also did the same. Tom Brady threw for his career high this year. Well, was on pace. He may have barely missed it. But just thinking of that, off the strength of knowing that Bruce Arians is making these quarterbacks fire that down the field, I don't think we could really just put all the blame on Jameis.
I mean, but at the same time, it's like, I think it's a mental thing with Jameis, because do you remember him saying that, not necessarily that he liked throwing picks at the beginning of the game, but basically he said something like, it feels good when he throw a pick at the beginning of the game because he feel like he got it over with, or something like that. You know, that's stupid, man.
I would rather throw a pick at the beginning of the game, whether I get down the field or whether I get to the end of the game and I throw a pick. It's like, dang, I really don't have too much time to compensate for that. Yeah. Instead of throwing it in the beginning.
I just feel like it was a dumb statement because, like, why would you rather throw a pick at all? You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I feel like he got too comfortable with throwing picks.
But it's the game of football. Shots. When you play quarterback, that's what's gonna happen.
You got
it. I just felt like I felt like he was too okay with it.
Yeah.
And it became a problem. Obviously, 30 picks.
So I think he'll do better in Sean Payton's offense than he did in Bruce Arians, just because in Bruce Arians' offense is a high risk, high reward offense. Of course. And you seen Tom Brady in the beginning of the season, he was trying to run that.
Yeah.
But then he started plugging some of his in with the check downs and to Leonard Fournette and whatnot.
Besides that, the Colts and the Eagles, winners and losers.
What did the Eagles receive?
The Eagles got a second rounder this draft. I believe it's a second rounder this year, and a conditional third rounder next year.
I think it was
it may have been
third
flipped.
rounder this year.
It may have been flipped.
In the second round next year, they could turn it to a first.
Yeah.
Something like that.
The condition is that, if Carson Wentz plays like 75% of the snaps this upcoming season, the pick could turn into a first round pick. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too sure because I'm not much of a believer in Carson Wentz. I mean, this last season, I think his failure was on him. I don't think it really had nothing to do with the Eagles team. The Eagles team has nothing at all, but I think it was on him. His accuracy was probably the most terrible he had in his whole career, and he was lacking IQ this season. It wasn't fun to watch at all.
I feel as if it was a win-win situation because the Colts got their quarterback of the future, and the Eagles get to focus on Jalen Hurts, hopefully, and they get to get some more protection for him in the second round pick with that one.
Jalen Hurts surprised me. I didn't think he was going to play as well as he did at the end of the season. I mean, when he got in,
He surprised a lot of us, but I want to touch on that. Carson is back, baby.
No.
Carson's back.
I don't
You put
agree.
Carson. Look, okay, just thinking about the simple fact, and this just dawned on me. Philly's offense hasn't been the same since Frank Reich left. After that Super Bowl and he got that job in Indianapolis, that job hasn't been the same since then. Well, that offense hasn't been the same since then. And now you're bringing Carson Wentz back to play with that same offensive coordinator, now head coach, that he put up MVP candidate numbers with. And you're giving him arguably the best line in the league.
Nah, it's the Browns.
No. You got it. Well, they did just lose. Anthony Costanzo just retired, right?
I think so.
But
yeah.
you still got Ryan Kelly, you got Braden Smith.
Quinn Nelson.
Yeah. Them dudes, I think they only gave up like 19 sacks last season.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm all in on the Colts. They're gonna be threats. Now the Colts, and they still have, I think they still have like, I'm not too sure about the numbers as far as the cap after the trade, how much of the cap they're taking on, but I know before the trade they were like what, projected to have either the most or the second most amount of salary cap this upcoming offseason. So they still got money to make moves to plug in those dudes defensively and offensively that they still need.
Can you see them drawing in a lot of, I guess, star power in Indianapolis? Like, who wants to go to Indianapolis?
I mean,
Just think about that.
honestly, it may be a little hard just based off of what happened with Carson this past year. It may be a little hard. Who wants to play with Carson? He seemed like a cancerous quarterback this past season. But whether they get offensive talent or not, Frank Reich is going to cook something up. We seen him lead Indianapolis with Andrew Luck. We seen him lead Indianapolis, which started out pretty good last season before they just drop off a cliff. They were like 4-2 with Jacoby Brissett, and they also upsetted the Chiefs the same year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And then he's also led them with Phillip Rivers. So he's obviously adapting because Phillip Rivers isn't the most mobile quarterback, and Andrew Luck isn't the most stationary quarterback.
I mean, but Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck would probably be one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game if if it wasn't for all his injuries or whatnot. But so I don't give him credit for Andrew Luck.
And Phillip Rivers is Phillip Rivers.
What do you mean? Like,
Phillip Rivers is a bona fide Hall of Fame quarterback.
no, that's not happening.
Multiple
I promise you, you won't
times,
see that. You won't see that.
multiple time Pro Bowler.
Maybe not first ballot Hall of Fame.
I don't.
Why?
Okay, yeah. Okay, no, he definitely not first ballot.
What makes him not first ballot?
No Super Bowls. How many playoff wins he have?
Probably about 2, 3.
Yeah.
That's on him? That's on him?
Yes.
If you play the most important position in sports, then yeah, I say that's on you.
Okay. And you already know where I'm going. It's Big Ben and it's Eli Manning. Are they Hall of Fame quarterbacks?
Yes.
Why?
I mean,
Eli got 2 Super Bowls, correct?
I want to say both of them have 2 Super Bowls.
Eli's a choke artist, and we know that.
I agree.
So
I mean, okay, look. Eli is a choke artist with Super Bowl wins.
Phillip
Rivers is a choke artist with nothing at all.
Eli had better teams than Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers had
Eli didn't have to
LaDainian
play.
Thompson and Antonio Gates.
Eli didn't
at
have
the same time.
Eli didn't have to play against a Tom Brady, a Big Ben, a Joe Flacco with that good defense
know what?
in Baltimore. He
Eli
didn't have
had to play
against the Peyton Manning. all in
Eli
the
had
same
to play
conference.
against the greatest quarterback of all time 2 times again in the Super Bowl in
with
the
one
biggest
of the-
game of the season. I mean,
with
you
one
can't
of the
really
best
knock
defensive
Eli.
lines in the league.
I mean, okay, that's cool.
And Steve Spagnuolo and Tom Coughlin.
Okay. You knocking Eli? You really knocking Eli greatness?
I mean, the man only put up about 24 and 17 in both of those games. So, really, did the offense do that much, or was it the defense?
I mean, offense made production. Offense produced.
The offense did.
I
enough.
give Eli points for
The
that.
offense
I give
did
him-
enough, but the offense didn't do that much.
Yeah.
If we're talking about what
Yeah.
Eli Manning's rings came from, it came
Yeah.
from that defense.
I agree, but
Yeah.
That defensive line, it came off the defense.
Hey, could I say something? Being a New York Giant fan and coming from New York, basically, Eli Manning took advantage of the 2 opportunities he had. But at the end of the day, he was just a 500 quarterback. He wasn't, when you look at the Roethlisbergers and all them, every year they had their teams in position to win a championship, whether they won or not. The Giants picked their opportunities and they won in those couple of years. One of those years they barely made the playoff and just got on a run. and just it just happened right for them. But I would say Eli Manning was good as Eli Manning could be. He wasn't fast, he wasn't mobile. If he didn't have an offensive line, he wouldn't have been nearly as effective as he was for being a 500 quarterback, because he had no mobility. He didn't have that same arm like certain quarterbacks just can just throw it downfield. Eli got the most out of his career. If he makes the Hall of Fame, he really earned it on the level of where he got, because those 2 times was his greatest times as a quarterback that I remember as being a Giant fan. But there's many days the fans was booing because we wasn't really that happy with his performance, seeing other quarterbacks, and they had to build a team up around him, and that's exactly what they did. They put the most talent, like you said earlier about the defense. When they had the defense, that's what won that Super Bowl. Brady couldn't get away from that powerful defense. But at the end of the day, look at that throw that he did. That dude caught a ball that how many people would have caught
David
that ball?
Tyree and
right.
Mario Manningham, yeah.
Right. How many people would catch a ball like that? How many people just happened? For the first time in his career, he was mobile enough to get away from a sack that they had him, So maybe the gods were shining down on him. But, Eli, I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I would really say the reason why his stats look good is because you got to realize he never got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He played that Iron Man role. When he finally didn't play is when the coach decided to sit him and mess his record up. But this dude really never missed a game. So his stats look more powerful because some of those quarterbacks, I can remember Big Ben missing at least 2-3 seasons with injuries that he pretty much was out, and other quarterbacks. So that's a good conversation that y'all bringing up. I like you young men, y'all hitting it at the right things. But that's definitely something that if Eli makes it to the Hall of Fame, I'm like, he overachieved.
Without a doubt. And I agree with everything you just said. He did take full advantage of those 2 opportunities that he got. Talking about the defenses, Phillip Rivers wasn't blessed with a defense like that. And he wasn't blessed with a Jerome Bettis that Big Ben was blessed with, or the defenses that Big Ben was blessed with. And just touching on that one more time, Phillip has more passing yards and more passing touchdowns than Big Ben and Eli Manning on their career, with less picks than Eli Manning. So if we're talking about Hall of Fame, he has the stats. Now the accomplishments, he may not have it, but he also played around some really good teams and played against some really good teams that were better than his teams.
You got to think about it, though. Like, the fact that he don't have a ring does something. Because Phillip Rivers is really just Drew Brees without a ring. And if you look at Drew Brees and you going to call him a Hall of Fame quarterback because, stats and, championship and whatnot. But if you take that ring away, I don't really see Drew Brees as a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Isn't he like second in touchdown passes?
Yeah, I want to say he's second. Well, I want to say Tom Brady had overpassed him.
Yeah,
he's second. So yeah, no, I don't see him. I don't see Drew Brees as a Hall of Fame quarterback without a ring.
Okay, but we're gonna close out on that one, and let's just touch on the Black History Month, man, because we have to be grateful for these black pioneers that set the way for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Without a doubt, without these people, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we enjoy today. Anybody that you want to bring up as far as Black history that played a pivotal role in your life?
Nobody specifically. I'm thankful for everybody who's just paved the way for us.
No, man, really, you gotta give it up to I forgot dude's name, but quarterback for the Redskins, first black quarterback to be in the Super Bowl, man.
Dang, you done threw me off. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Doug.
Man.
Doug Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, I was finna say, not too many people know about this man, but Earl Lloyd, the first NBA black African American player to ever play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Without him, we wouldn't see. Well, I'm not gonna say we wouldn't see. There possibly would have been somebody else, but we possibly wouldn't have the LeBron James of the world in the NBA, the Kevin Durant's of the world, the Michael Jordan. So we're definitely grateful for all of those people that paved the way for us young black aspiring young men and women. And we gonna close out on that. This is Straightforward Sports. We gonna be back, baby. Another banger after banger.
All right, holla at you.